What if the people around you are the reason you can't find peace? What if the clutter holding you back isn't in your home, but in your heart? And what if letting go of toxic people is the most powerful act of emotional minimalism you'll ever make? We talk a lot about physical decluttering, cleaning spaces, clearing desks, and letting go of things we no longer need. But there's another kind of clutter that weighs even heavier: emotional clutter. The kind that drains your energy, clouds your mind, and steals your joy. Toxic people are the emotional equivalent of chaos. They take without giving, criticize without care, and make you feel smaller every time you're near them. And yet, many of us hold on. We tell ourselves it's loyalty, kindness, or love. But in truth, it's fear. Fear of being alone, fear of conflict, or fear of change. Emotional decluttering begins with awareness. You can't clean what you don't see. Start by paying attention to how you feel after interacting with certain people. Do you feel lighter or heavier, energized or exhausted, seen or judged? Your body knows the truth even when your mind denies it. When someone consistently drains your peace, that's emotional clutter. You don't have to label them as evil. They may simply be misaligned with your growth. But recognizing their effect on your well-being is the first step toward freedom. Toxic relationships come in many forms. Some people manipulate through guilt, always making you feel responsible for their unhappiness. Others thrive on drama. Chaos follows them like a shadow. Some constantly criticize, turning every conversation into a subtle reminder that you're never enough. And then there are those who drain your energy simply by existing in constant negativity. Over time, being around them changes you. You start shrinking your voice, second-guessing yourself, or suppressing your joy just to keep the peace. That's not peace, that's quiet suffering. The hardest truth is this: not everyone you lose is a loss. Sometimes the person you're afraid to let go of is the one keeping you stuck. When you remove toxic people from your life, you make room for the right ones, people who see your light instead of dimming it, who support your growth instead of resenting it. But emotional decluttering isn't always about dramatic exits. It's often about quiet distance, choosing not to engage in the same patterns, setting boundaries that protect your peace, and no longer feeding the dynamic that drains you. Boundaries are the emotional equivalent of walls and doors in your home. Without them, anyone can walk in, track mud across the floor, and leave chaos behind. Boundaries aren't about punishment, they're about protection. They're how you keep your emotional space clean. It might sound simple, but it takes strength to say no, especially to people you've known for years. You might fear their reaction, their disappointment, their anger. But here's the truth: healthy people respect boundaries. Toxic people resist them. And that's how you'll know who deserves to stay in your life. Letting go of toxic people doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop carrying. You can wish someone well and still walk away. You can forgive without allowing them back into your life. Forgiveness is emotional freedom. It releases you from bitterness, while boundaries protect you from repetition. The two together form the foundation of emotional minimalism, keeping your heart clear, light, and intentional. Sometimes the hardest toxic relationships to release are those tied by family, love, or shared history. You might feel trapped by obligation. I can't just walk away. They're my parent, my friend, my partner. But emotional decluttering doesn't always mean cutting ties. Sometimes it means redefining them. You can choose how often you engage, what topics you discuss, and what energy you allow into your space. You can love someone and still protect yourself from their storms. It's not cruelty, it's self-respect. Think of your emotional energy as currency. Every interaction spends a little of it. Some people are like investments. They multiply your energy through kindness, encouragement, and connection. Others are like debt. They take without return. If you keep spending on the wrong people, you'll eventually go bankrupt. Emotional decluttering means becoming a conscious spender, choosing where your energy goes, and refusing to fund relationships that drain your peace. There's also a subtler form of toxicity. People who aren't overtly cruel, but simply incompatible with your growth. Maybe they keep you tied to an old version of yourself. Maybe they can't celebrate your success without jealousy. Maybe their worldview constantly conflicts with your peace. These relationships don't explode, they erode. But over time, they leave the same residue: exhaustion, self-doubt, and confusion. Decluttering means recognizing that love doesn't always equal compatibility. You can appreciate what someone once meant to you without forcing them to fit into your present. When you start letting go, guilt will show up. Society teaches us that being good means being endlessly forgiving, patient, and available. But you are not responsible for healing others at the expense of your own well-being. You are allowed to prioritize peace over guilt. You are allowed to choose yourself. And when you do, the people meant to stay will celebrate your strength, not shame it. As you remove toxic influences, something beautiful happens. You begin to heal. Your nervous system relaxes. Your confidence returns. You stop over-explaining and start simply existing. Silence stops feeling lonely and starts feeling peaceful. You realize that solitude isn't the absence of love, it's the space where love grows back. That's when clarity arrives. You start attracting people who match your peace instead of your pain. The energy you once spent fixing others now fuels your own growth. Emotional decluttering also includes releasing the mental patterns that keep toxic people anchored in your mind. You can distance yourself physically, but still replay their words in your head. The criticism, the manipulation, the guilt. That's emotional residue. Clearing it requires compassion for yourself. Remind yourself that you did your best with the tools you had. You stayed too long because you hoped they'd change. You tolerated too much because you loved deeply. But now you know better. Decluttering isn't about regret, it's about renewal. Minimalism in relationships isn't cold, it's conscious. It's not about cutting everyone off, it's about keeping your circle aligned with your peace. A few healthy connections are worth more than a crowd of emotional noise. When your circle shrinks, your energy expands. The quiet you create becomes fertile ground for clarity, creativity, and calm. And as you simplify your emotional life, your external world begins to shift too. Your decisions become clearer, your mornings feel lighter. You stop explaining yourself to people who were never listening. You start valuing your time, your energy, and your worth. Emotional minimalism teaches you that peace is not found, it's created. And it starts with who you allow into your space. Letting go doesn't make you heartless, it makes you whole. You can honor the past without carrying its weight. You can love people from a distance and still move forward without them. The goal isn't to have no relationships, it's to have healthy ones. Relationships that reflect love, not dependency. Connection, not chaos. Growth, not guilt. If you're wondering where to begin, start with honesty. Be honest about how people make you feel. Be honest about the energy you give and the peace you lose. Then make one small change, one boundary, one pause, one no. Over time, those small steps create emotional clarity. The weight you've carried for years begins to lift. You start breathing easier, smiling more, sleeping better. That's not coincidence, that's freedom. Emotional decluttering isn't a one-time act, it's a lifelong practice. As you grow, you'll outgrow certain people, places, and versions of yourself. Each time, you'll face the same decision: cling or clear. The more you clear, the more authentic your life becomes. You'll start surrounding yourself with people who inspire you, challenge you, and bring calm instead of chaos. And in that simplicity, you'll discover something profound. The people who truly love you don't make you question your worth. They make you feel seen, supported, and safe. That's the energy of alignment. That's the life minimalism creates. Not empty, but full of meaning. So the next time you feel trapped by emotional clutter, remember this: peace isn't found by fixing others. It's found by freeing yourself. The moment you stop letting toxicity occupy your space, your mind, and your heart, you reclaim your life. Thank you for watching this video on Think Fresh Daily. If this message inspired you to release what no longer serves your peace, please like this video, share it with someone who needs this reminder, and subscribe to Think Fresh Daily for more insights on living simply, intentionally, and free.